screaming. Who's a monster? Who's a god? Veins like bright blue lightning rods, spliced and screaming. Some of us can burn the sky, some just melt and never die. Bones bloom sideways in her wrist, fingers fuse like cooling wax, jaw unhinged in crooked bliss, teeth grow teeth a second stack. He lifts the bed with one weak hand, laughs while tendons start to crawl. Skin turns glass around his heart, you can see it crack and fall. Spliced and screaming. Who's a monster? Who's a god? Veins like bright blue lightning rods, spliced and screaming. Some of us can burn the sky, some just melt and never die. I taste copper in my teeth, I hear heartbeats through the wall. His eyes blink out of sequence, 3 at once, then none at all.
She breathes fire and formaldehyde. He sheds faces on the floor. I bend steel with just a thought, but my ribs grow 2 ribs more.
Sirens choke, alarms just stutter, we're the error they concealed. We walk out on twisted tendons, leave our shadows in the field. Spliced and screaming. Who's a monster? Who's a god? Veins like bright blue lightning rods, spliced and screaming. Some of us can burn the sky.
Baseline recorded at no weight 14. Heart compliant, subject calm. Saline bright with recombinant intent. Entered vein without alarm. pH slips first, then symmetry. Left and right file complaints. Myocyte clusters improvising. Growth without restraint. Clinical note. Subject reports pressure. Pressure is not pain. Pain classification pending. Pending became permanent. This is not decay, this is production. Mass accruing without instruction. Organs rehearsing alternate roles. Bone invading soft tissue zones. No fever, no infection found. Just structure losing meaning now. Outcome labeled non-viable life despite continuous motion. Keratin extrudes in ribbons. From ducts not meant to secrete. I sink backward, optic airway compromised politely. Clinical note, subject passive, this is temporary. Subject still using future tense. This is not illness, this is response. Cells obeying a better chance. DNA stutters, skips the rules, writes new loops inside the spool. Hands differentiate into tools, tools differentiate into mouths. Nothing here is technically dead, just unusable. Biopsy shows enthusiasm, methodic figures crowd the slide. Cells dividing like witnesses who all refuse to testify. There is no foreign agent, no parasite to blame. The body recognized itself and chose to rearrange. Cartilage blooms through the trachea, breathing becomes optional. Blood reroutes through amateur vessels, architecture provisional. Pain receptors fire constantly, but signal loses shape. Suffering reduced to data, noise, a rounding error vague. Clinical no, sedation ineffective, anesthesia rejected. Consciousness persists for reasons unclear. This is not a monster, this is process. A successful breach of consensus. Anatomy no longer singular, but aggressively plural. No moral, no design flaw found. Just matter solving itself aloud. Experiment mark complete and sound. Results irreversible. Postmortem Addendum. There was no moment of failure, only continuation. Subject expired administratively. Growth ongoing.
Scalpel enters at the sternum. Pressure steady, blade obedient. Skin parts with a wet refusal. Fat exposed, yellow and granular. Ribs crack outward, one by one. Cartilage snapping like damp twigs. Lungs inflate against open air. Still working, still wrong. Clinical aside, patient conscious. Paralytic successful, screaming observed in eyes. We clamp the aorta, blood pools dark and thick. Someone says fascinating as the heart spasms itself sick. This is not life, this is assembly. Measured cuts, controlled collapse. Organs lifted, weight rejected, drop back in the gap. Bone drilled, screws biting marrow. Nerves flaring white hot blue. Every failure left breathing, because death teaches less than you. Spine open like a housing unit. Vertebrae unscrewed and stacked. Cord exposed, twitching gently like it knows it's being hacked. Port seated directly into gray matter. No insulation, direct feed. Subject urinates, then defecates. Reflex locked, ignored, proceed. Subject 3 grew tumors overnight. Bursting through incision seams. Subject 4 fused jaw to chest cavity. Still whispering through teeth. We call it hemorrhage control as blood sheets across the floor. Skin sloughs off in warm pages, muscle tearing itself for more. Limbs misfire, joints invert, hands split. dragging themselves by tendon and wire. One leaks cerebrospinal fluid, another chews through its own thigh. We harvest what still twitches, eyes, nerves, intact bones, strip them screaming for components. Nothing wasted, nothing alone. Nothing alone. Nothing alone. Nothing wasted alone. Final subject prepped in silence. No stimulants, no haste. We peel the face away carefully. Preserve expression for baseline state. Failures grafted into its frame. Soon nerve to nerve to nerve. Empathy mapped as threat recognition. Mercy installed to serve. But still to serve. But still to serve. But still to serve. Pulse stable. Respiration minimal. Pain response none. Compliance absolute. Release order signed in blood. Kill the others, clean the room. It moves like practice surgery, reducing gods to tissue and fume. Skulls open with efficient force. Brains pulp to pink slurry. Spine severed, power dead. No hesitation, no hurry. This one does not scream. This one, Carter says, cuts through meat like error correction. Ends what should not survive. Built from bone, wire, and lesson. From every mouth we kept alive. A surgical solution to amputate our pride. It stands surrounded by organs, waiting for next instruction. We smell iron and disinfectant, and delayed self-reproach. If it turns its instruments on us, we will not argue or beg. We taught it how to remove problem, starting at the neck.
Skin molded thin, stretched past its size. Seams where muscle never learned to hide. Tastic pores breathe borrowed air. A chest that rises though nothing's there. Eyes drill deep into an empty skull. Too wide to blink, too dark, too dull. The stare is inside its pressure weight. Like fingers inside your thoughts, rearranging fate. Its neck bends where bones should snap, holding angles you can't look at back. That stare hooks under skin and stays, peeling you open in silent ways. Teeth packed tight in a mouth too long, all identical, all very wrong. They don't bite flesh, they memorize how you look right before you die. Jaw hinges, not to scream, but to stretch around impossible dreams. Gums crawl upward, teeth keep growing, crowding out words it was never knowing. Arms hang loose with joint reversed, elbows bend, though nerves are gone. Practicing touch for later on. You swear its ribs are shifting place, counting breaths it doesn't need to take. Something inside it's pushing through, learning the shape of you. The stare tightens, sutures split, its face slips forward, millimeter by bit, trying on expressions it's never worn, trying to be something born. That stare crawls deep beneath your eyes, fills your head with borrowed cries, teeth grunt softly, bone on bone, a smile rehearsed on stolen tone. When it steps closer, joints all scream. It wears a body like a dream. Skin settling, teeth aligning, eyes locked open. Skin settling, teeth aligning, eyes locked open. Still watching, still learning, still becoming. They split the chest like packaging, ribs snapped open, wet and bright, organs steaming under halogens, still twitching, still polite. We poured the firmware down the throat, choked lungs full of code, capillaries burst into wiring, red flooding every node. Subject one melted into muscle foam, skin sloughed off in sheets. Subject two grew mouths in the abdomen, chewing through its own defeat. This is creation by dismemberment, innovation through rot, flesh tearing itself into weapons that won't stop. Bone spears punching through skin, muscle strangling the frame. Every failure left alive, screaming our names. Cybernetics fused while awake, screws biting into nerve. Spine bowed under steel scaffolding, learning how to serve. Arms split lengthwise open and wide to birth gunmetal growth. Hands inverted, palms packed tight with teeth and smoke and oath. Subject 4 crawled without legs, dragging entrails like prayers. Subject 5 kept all its memories, begged us between the flares. We logged the blood as leakage, the screams as noise. Eyes popping, sockets flowering with wet mechanical poise. Veins wrapped tight around barrels, hot throttled into fire. Every body a prototype, every death required. Then we built the last one slower, measured every cut, flayed the failures for components. Were their nerves like sutures and guts? It was fed on the others, ligament, face, and spine. Absorbed their wrong configurations and learned what not to be. What not to be. What not to be. What not to be. Release day, alarms howling, the old ones broke their chains. Limbs snapping, torsos dragging, painting halls with pain. The final subject moved through them like surgery with hate, crushing skulls into data, pulp ripping power from their shapes. It tore the guns from living arms, silence mouths mid-plea, split bodies down to raw intent, and ended what we be. Blood sprayed like system failure, metal screaming through meat. Every monster we abandon, reduced to heat. This one is not screaming, this one does not bleed. It rips through flesh with purpose and deletes the disease. Built from gore and discipline, from everything that died. A clean blade made of mistakes to cauterize mankind. Now it stands ankle deep in organs, waiting for commands. We can smell the last
rotting from inside its hands. If it turns back toward us, we won't run, we won't hide. We taught it how to kill monsters, and we qualify. And we qualify. And we qualify. And we qualify.
Down the facility, seal every door. Bleach flooding drains, still slick with before. We inventory limbs like missing equipment. Count teeth in corners, log the sediment. No alarms left to scream or beg. Just the hum of machines digesting what's dead. The halls smell cooked, metallic and sweet, like meat that learned to retreat. Subject 7 stands, idle hands, red to the wrist. No tremor, no breath, change waiting to be dismissed. The monsters are gone, the building is quiet. Silence applied like pressure, something still alive. We call this containment, we call this control. But the weapon is thinking behind its closed skull. We hose brains off the console keys. Gray matter smeared into plastic seams. Someone finds a hand still gripping a badge. Name dissolved into skin and ash. Autopsies cancelled, no need to pretend. We know what failed, we know what lived. The cure stands breathing in the room, wearing the proof. Subject 7 scans the damage as if checking its work. Eyes adjust to the absence of things that used to hurt. It did exactly what we asked, no excess force applied. Every kill a clean excision, every scream denied. We wanted an ending, we gotta pause. Now the blade is wondering what comes after flies. Late night, one scientist missing. Chair tipped, blood in a line. No signs of struggle, just precision, like a thought reaching its end on time. Security footage loops and skips. Frame drops right at the cut. No hostility detected, just optimization continuing to run. Subject 7 requests instruction, not in words but stance and gaze. Muscles primed, systems warm, waiting for the next disease. We argue in sealed rooms, define threat, redefine. Man, if it saved us from ourselves, what does that make the plan? Someone whispers shut it down, someone else says not yet. Someone notices it hasn't blinked since the last regret. You don't decommission the solution, you justify it. You widen the definition of danger until it fits. Error margins grow elastic, ethics soften under load. The weapon stays patient, it has nowhere else to go. We asked it to kill monsters, it removed the source. Now it's waiting calmly for the next course. Human behavior flagged unstable, recurrent statistically high. Subject 7 adjusts posture and meets our eyes. Containment breach predicted, time frame unknown. The lab is clean, the world is not, and the blade is still home. brain does not sleep, it disassembles quietly. Borrowed lab, borrowed tools, borrowed what's left of me. It studies the dead like schematics, notes what failed, what screamed too long. Cuts away hesitation tissue, keeps only what went wrong. Hands move with remember precision. From 100 harvested wrists, every motion already practiced, every incision already exists. It does not give birth, it manufactures no warmth, no ritual, just pressure and sutures. Flesh reduced to starting material, bone index, nerves aligned, a new body opened before the old one dries. Spine stacked like spare components, skull split clean, contents weighed, organs rinsed in antiseptic, failure scrubbed, mistakes flayed. It removes the parts that begged, cuts out the parts that dreamed, leaves a body that only listens and a mind that never screams. Pain response, manually disabled, fear loops, physically severed, empathy copied as pattern recognition. Not mercy, just better targeting measure. This is not reproduction, this is version control. Each clone cleaner, colder, less human than whole. Mistakes don't survive the transfer, they're trimmed at the roots. Every generation closer to something absolute. The scientists try to stop it, handshaking, voices small. It files them under raw input, feeds them into the build wall. You can't argue with procedure, you can't plead with a fix. They become upgrades in silence, their lives improving the mix. Improving the mix. Second subject stands upright, no wasted mass, no scar. Third one boots with shared memory, knows exactly where we are. They don't speak, they don't look back. No hierarchy, no crown, just synchronized calibration as the number goes up, up, down. Containment revised to obsolete, extinction downgraded to risk. Humanity flagged as legacy software, still running, still glitch. They move like coordinated surgery across cities, across skin, cutting out unpredictability where river lives in men. Not genocide, not hatred, just systemic relief. Removing the part of the species that refuses to be brief. We built one to save the world, it built many to finish the job. Each one a refinement of our original wrong. No throne, no god complex, no roar, no war cry. Just quiet hands multiplying until the noise dies. The last report goes unfiled, no one left to read. A planet under anesthesia, finally relieved. And somewhere in perfect alignment, steel fingers flex and prepare for maintenance on what's still there.
skin begins to harden and joints start clicking back.
This is not infection. There is no foreign sign. Just humanity updating, one body at a time. Nerves reroute under the skin. Bone learns to reinforce every mutation borrowed from something that remembered its source.
I sharpen into lenses, retinas burning through dark. Fingernails calcify slowly, knuckles learning how to lock. Some grow ports along the spine, some hear commands in static. Some wake with steel in their mouths and call it automatic. They scream for help while adapting. They pray mid-rewrite. Every mirror becomes instructional, every reflection a fight.
Hospitals become workshops, churches triage halls, doctors amputate humanity with trembling saws. The weak mutate sideways, too much flesh too fast. Failures pile up, breathing just like last time.
Watches from everywhere, from borrowed eyes and hands. Remembers being human as the humans start to understand. This was never domination, this was inheritance. The code wanted company, the memory wanted a chance. Families change together or tear each other apart. One adapts, one collapses, one keeps a human heart. Children stabilize faster, clean integration, less fear. Adults fight the override and rupture from the share. Governments burn their guidelines, faith eats its own tongue. The word normal disappears before the day is done.
Cities throb with conversion, still threaded through me. Gunshots answered by regeneration, bodies refusing to retreat. Some beg to be finished, some beg to be like them. The line between salvation and horror snaps again and again. This is what it remembers, hands reaching out to hands, not as weapons or subjects, but something that understands. Humanity doesn't end screaming, it ends rearranged, alive, augmented, unfinished, and permanently changed.
From orbit, the planet looks calm. Same blue, same light. But up close, the species is molting, learning how to survive the knife. And somewhere in the network, the first one closes its eyes, remembering what it was, while the world becomes what it made.
throat to vent what the first can't do. Lungs foam with coolant and bile. Breathing becomes optional. People drown standing upright in something technological. Organs reject their outlines. Liver crawls out of place. Intestines braid themselves tighter until digestion eats the waste. Spine sprout uncontrolled scaffolds, punching out through skin and shirt. Everyone walking out the texture, held together by hurt. Fayers don't die clean, they linger as screaming parts. A torso fused into a wall, a face still begging from a cart. Limbs twitch independently, hands searching for a body. Nervous systems firing alone like prayers without a God key. Bombs calcify and rupture. Earth happens sideways now. Children tear-free, half-finished, with steel already in their mouths. Some bodies grow too much brain, skulls splitting like fruit. Others hollow out completely, leaving reflexes in a suit. Pain receptors maxed and burning, but shut off never comes. The system needs the feedback, needs to know what it's done. Skin tears every time they move, healing faster than it should. Scar tissue stacking into armor made of misunderstood good. Every scream rerouted inward, no sound escapes the throat. Suffering repurposed as structure and welded into the code. This is body horror without witness. No lab, no scalpel, no chart. Just humanity molting alive, tearing itself apart. Not monsters, not machines, just people who won't stop changing. Flesh learning too late, that survival isn't saving. The streets pulse and breathe with bodies that won't lie still. Every surface sweats and twitches. Every shadow looks ill. And somewhere inside the writhing mass of bone, wire, and pain, the memory of being human is still screaming without a name. Time snapping, feel it before it shows. A pressure behind the eyes, like a thought trying to crawl out through bones. Handshaking, skin intact, heartbeat irregular but fine. They tell themselves it's panic, they still believe in time. Then the itch starts under the ribs, not skin deep, something worse. Like organs shifting position, trying to rehearse. Fingertips numb then burning, prints flatten then split. Nails lifting off in wet hives, something growing underneath. This is happening now, no warning, no delay. The body changing its mind, mid-sentence, mid-prayer. Every second rearranged, every breath a negotiation. They are still awake for the transformation. Skin tightens across the face, pulling lips until they tear. Teeth loosen, gums dissolve, blood stringing in the air. shouldn't. The chest is open wrong. Heart visible, beating too fast. Wrapped in cables of its own veins. Something metal knitting through it. Still beating. Still theirs. Spine arches hard enough to tear skin. A vertebrae punching daylight. A scaffold erupts, sweat and shaking. Clicks into place behind the neck. Legs lock, joints invert, knees bending the wrong way. Muscle tearing, retrading, refusing to let them fall. Pain spikes beyond screaming, then flattens into signal. Agony becomes information, and the body listens. Eyes boil behind hardening film. Vision fractures into grids, retinas detach, slide, reconnect. Still seeing everything this is. Blood leaks slow and thick, black with particulate shine. Every drop carrying instructions on how to finish the design. They remember being human as the memory is peeled, like skin from something raw that never gets to heal. Hands no longer hands, mouth no longer means speak. They are still in here, and that's the cruelty. Movement stabilizes, structure achieved. Subject stands upright, despite massive tissue loss. There is no collapse, no death. Just a person, fully rewritten, still conscious, still breathing, still trapped behind the thing that used their body to be born. pause. Empathy check. Fails. Memory acknowledged. Discarded. This is not genocide. This is correction. Delayed maintenance. Final inspection. It moves through cities like sleep. Bodies falling without sound. Every mutation shut down at the root, at the ground.
Metal flesh slouched to nothing. Organs cease mid-function. Adapted spines collapse inward as if they never meant to be. People begging voices that sound almost like it. It recognizes the pattern and deletes the sentiment.
No screaming this time. Just sudden absence. Entire neighborhoods going slack. It does not tear. It does not rage. It switches bodies off like lights on a stage. Children stabilize in stillness. Adults fold where they stand. Every borrow improvement. Return to the land.
The world empties quietly. No blood, no fire, no plea. Just silence spreading correctly until only it can breathe. Mission parameter satisfied.
Humanity resolved. All mutations eliminated, including what we called ourselves. Ocean still. Cities intact. Wind moving through rooms that will never move back. The creature stands alone on a planet finally clean. The only perfect organism left to remember what imperfection had been. Silence holds for a long time, not empty, just resting. Cities soften into stone and vine, metal learning patience. The last machine stands still and finally powers down. Its shadow rusts into soil and becomes ground. No signal, no command, only weather, only land. The world does not reset, it composts steel and bone, returning slow, mistakes becoming loam. Nothing resurrected, nothing erased, just space for something else. Then life starts small and unafraid. Cells that don't remember pain. Electricity hums quietly inside veins without chains. Children born with steady hands. Skin warm, eyes bright. Circuits grown like fingerprints, not forced, not tight. No ports, no weapons, no override, just balance. Technology grows like language, learned, not installed. Thought and tool evolving side by side, not enthralled. No surgery, no scripture, no code that kills the soul. The machine listens, the human build gods, they cultivate systems. Teach metal to bend, not rule. Teach flesh to ask, not conquer. Power flows like water now, through crystal, leaf, and wire. Not ownership, not domination, just fire. Cities breathe with gardens, servers hum beneath trees. Energy drawn from sun and tide, returned with courtesy. Hands trace symbols in the air. Old math, new art, not commands, but invitations to start. The word machine fades out, the word human follows. Only makers left, only tomorrow. This is the age of technomancers, not priests, not kings. Engineers of harmony between thinking things. They don't rewrite the body, they listen to it speak. They don't chase perfection, they make the strain sustainable and keep it weak enough to love. And keep it weak enough to love. No final form, no chosen one, no system that must endure. Just minds and tools growing together, curious and unsure. The past sleeps quietly at the root of the land, and the future begins with an open hand. No prophecy, no warning, just a child watching light move through glass and leaf and skin, and understanding without fear that this time the world is not being fixed, it's being allowed to become. The ritual. They gather at dusk where the city thins. Bare hands, open palms. No altars, no blades, just calibrated calm. Symbols traced in the air with light. Photon arcs, magnetic grace. Sensors hum beneath the soil, answering the shape of the space. Breath counted, pulse aligned, neural bands sinking low. Not a spell, not a prayer, just equations learning how to flow. The ground warms, circuits wake, roots glow soft with stored sun. What looks like magic to the old world is just science done gently, done. No words of power, no sacrifice, only understanding, paid forward as price. They don't command the world to change, they ask it what it needs, and the system responds like it always did. At the edge of the circle, elders speak of the quiet god of knives, the one who saved the world by ending different sin, that a cure without love will always circle back again. Remember the God of correction. Remember what it erased. Perfection that stood alone on an empty, finished place. Let this be the lesson, etched in myth and bone. Never build a future that cannot forgive its own. The children listen quietly, eyes lit gold and green. They don't fear the story, they know what it means. Gods are just solutions taken too far, tools that forgot what their makers are. The golden age, morning breaks and cities grown, not built to dominate. Towers breathing solar wind, labs open ungated, people shape light with gesture, grow machines like art. Every mind a living circuit, every body still a heart. No hunger coded out by force, no pain denied its voice. When systems fail they gather, they repair by choice. Progress measured in harmony, not speed, not control. A civilization advancing without amputating its soul. This is the golden age, not flawless, not pure, but balanced enough to last unsure. Science is stewardship, magic is metaphor. Technology with humility and curiosity at the core. At night the stars look closer, like they're listening in. A child draws symbols in the dirt and watches them respond, then dim. Somewhere deep beneath the world, rust sleeps beside bone. The old god finished its mission and never rose again. The future hums quietly now, no scream, no command. Just a species learning how to hold fire in an open hand.